What's going on, fam? It is Relationship Thursdays. What up, bro? I'm gonna wait a little bit before I get started on the topics tonight. You guys absolutely amaze me with some of the topics I'm getting sent. I'm having some really interesting inbox messages. I'm learning a lot about the way people think and the way people view relationships and things like this. Hey, Rhoda, the thing that's really amazing about all of this is just getting to learn people and understanding more about the situations that are out there, and just being able to talk to you from a perspective that I hope that you gain some type of insight from. What's going on, brother Steve? A couple of these topics are pretty serious. Hey Z, good to see you again. But the bottom line of it is, this is some important stuff that we got to talk through and talk about and come to an understanding about, so that we can get along better with each other. So I'm going to kick it off. I took some notes from these topics because they are really serious. What's going on, Sterling? Good to see you, brother. Hey, Lauren. And I want to talk about poison people. Hi, Michelle. Poison people. This topic says, I dated a man who started out perfect, but now he has very low regard for my feelings. He constantly gets in Facebook beefs. He does not give me the emotional support I need. How can I get him to change? Hey, Crystal, welcome. One more time. I have dated a man who's started out perfect, but now he has very low regard for my feelings. He constantly gets in Facebook beefs and does not give me the emotional support I need. How can I get him to change? You can't. The thing about someone not giving you emotional support, they have to make a decision to stop doing things that don't feed you emotionally, and to start doing the things that do. This is something that either the man knows how to do or he's willing to learn how to do. And this may be a poison person. A poison person is someone that no matter how you take them into your spirit, they always find a way to twist it. They always find a way to bring you down, or take something that's about you and convert it to being about them. You just got to understand that when you're dealing with someone that's a poison person, there's really nothing that you can do other than be poisoned the longer you hang around that person. So if this is someone that you've been dating and he started out right and he started out strong, but then all of a sudden he stopped giving you the emotional energy or the emotional support or the emotional love that you need, chances are he was faking it. He was just faking it from the beginning, and then he wasn't able to sustain that. And because he wasn't able to sustain that, you get to see exactly who he is. And it's just not something that fits with what you need. So here's my recommendation to you. First, you try to have a really strong conversation with this person. A strong conversation meaning that you express exactly what it is that you're not getting, and exactly what it is that you need. And when you tell this man what you need, sit back and watch what he does. Anybody can make a change for a couple of days. But if he slips right back to that same emotional void where he's not really giving you the support that you want and that you deserve, then you may just be with the wrong person. Now, I want you to be real careful about this part. Any grown person that's getting into Facebook beef, they get the side eye from me, because there's really no excuse for having Facebook beef. It's social media. This is something that we do for fun. It's just not that serious. But if somebody's having Facebook beef and they are grown, I mean grown, got children, paying bills, they just get the side eye from me. You know, we don't. I mean, at this stage in the game, nobody has time for Facebook beef. Now, I understand if this person's an entertainer, the entertainer might be wanting to spread, whatever to keep their name in the spotlight and keep people talking about them. If this is just a regular person and they're having real Facebook beef, they just get the side eye. So if you're not getting the emotional support that you need from someone, they're poisoning you. And if you're being poisoned, you got to get the antidote from that, which might be getting out of that relationship. Poison people, like I said before, will find a way to poison everything that you do, and they'll become an emotional vampire, and they will suck the joy out of your life. So there's sometimes that you just have to get away from people that I would call poison people. This guy might just be a poison person. I want to talk about child support. This one is serious because, if you're not careful with child support can be something that can get you in a lot of trouble. So here we go. Young lady sent me an inbox and it says, my child's father gave my 3-year-old a used iPad for Christmas. I don't have him on court-ordered child support. He pays sporadically, and I think he could have done more for her for Christmas. And I found pictures of him and another woman on the iPad. What should I do? Now, I'm going to put this in 2 categories. First of all, the fact that you mentioned that you found the pics of him and another woman on the iPad lets me know that you actually still kind of got feelings for this guy, because the pictures of the young lady and your child's father are irrelevant to child support. They're really irrelevant to the gift. I think that's just you trying to throw that in because you still got feelings for this man. I mean, if you still have feelings for him, you need to address that, because what could happen inadvertently is this. Hey, Kenya, you could actually begin to poison your daughter. And here's what I mean by poisoning the daughter. A 3-year-old doesn't know the difference between a brand new iPad and a used iPad. They just want to play the games that come on it. Now, if you've gotten the pictures off so that the child doesn't see the pictures or anything like that, and if the pictures weren't pornographic or nude pictures, just delete that picture and let the child enjoy the iPad. Now, if he's doing things like spending time with the child and investing in the daughter and things like that, physically, emotionally, that's worth more than child support. Let's not get it twisted. You still need the financial support. I'm just talking about you potentially poisoning something or downplaying something that might be the best that he could do. Maybe all he could do was afford to give that used iPad. So that's not something that, you want to downplay, because a 3-year-old doesn't know the difference between a brand new iPad and a used one. They just want to play the game. So when it comes back to the financial part of it, you said you do not have him on court-ordered child support. All right. You need to make sure that he understands the impact of him not paying. He knows it, but make sure he understands the impact that it's having on his daughter, because child support is designed for a reason. It's to be able to support the child. It says it right there in the title. But sometimes that supporting the child means that it supports your ability to support the child as the custodial parent. So separate the girl and the picture that you found on the iPad, and then iPad not being brand new. Separate all that stuff out and just stick to the point of, you need to make sure that he does exactly what he's supposed to do financially and emotionally, so that the child, your child, grows up in a healthy and stable environment. He is obligated to do that. Now, there is nothing wrong with you holding him accountable for that. I do believe that if you keep focusing on the picture that you found or feelings that you have for him or any types of things like that, inadvertently or purposely, you could begin to put that negative emotion into the child. And quite frankly, the child doesn't need that. Okay. Hopefully you two can settle it where it doesn't have a negative impact on the child, but you can't, I mean, you have to do your best to avoid being emotional about that picture that you found. You only put that picture in there to let me know that there was something foul about that picture. And I'm telling you that that 3-year-old doesn't know the difference with that picture or a used iPad or a new iPad. They're just happy to play the games. So don't spoil that part of it. You should certainly hold him accountable, though, for the financial aspect of it, because that is important. And last thing on this child support. If he is spending time with the daughter and he is, coming by and making sure that he plays that part, don't stop that. Actually encourage that. And when you encourage it, it makes it easier for him to do more. Too often, men make the excuse of, she don't want me to come by because she got an attitude. And that's nothing but an excuse. If the man is serious about taking care of his child and he's consistent about it, he deserves access to his child. It's both of your child. If he's not doing that, then as much as I hate it, you may have to go the court ordered route. But I just really need to understand. I really need for you to understand me when I say, don't make it about the other woman that you found on the iPad. Let that part go. Make sure he's taking care of your child and his child too, emotionally and financially. And because that part you just cannot get around. Can't get around it. Okay. This last one is from a guy talking about his wife. He says, my wife has a very bad temper. If I come home 5 minutes late, she explodes. If I want to go out, she explodes. She blows up at people for the smallest reasons, and it is embarrassing. I barely talk to her because she explodes. I am at the point where I want to leave, and he asked me what would I do. Now, this is someone who has an explosive temper, and he asked me what would I do. That's not fair, because this isn't about what I would do. This is what I want to help you be able to do in your relationship. So when it comes to someone who has a bad temper, that bad temper is being fueled by something deep inside that's painful. And if they're not addressing whatever that pain is or that insecurity or that distrust, it's not going to get better. So what you have to do is you have to explain how much of an impact it's having on you. The explosive temper, the volcanic reactions, that's not a fun environment for anyone to be in, a man or a woman. Because what it does is it begins to stymie your desire to be around that person. And when you don't want to be around someone, people understand it. People can feel when you want to be there or you don't want to be there. Now, he and I actually had an inbox conversation about it. And one thing that he said was, he's beginning to talk to someone that doesn't make as much fuss, who's a listening ear is the way that he put it. Ladies, I'm going to give you this as a piece of advice. The minute that you stop becoming a man's peace is the minute that he starts to turn away from you and he starts to seek out peace somewhere else. That is the worst thing that can happen in any type of marriage or relationship or anything like that. Thank you, Cynthia. When you begin to, when a man begins to look for peace outside of his household, he begins to plot and scheme on ways that he can get satisfaction or peace somewhere else. It is what it is. I really need you to understand this, ladies. We don't want to fuss and argue and fight with you at home. We fight enough at work or outside in the streets. And when we come home, what we want to do is just sit down and relax. And when the household becomes a place where we can't sit down and relax, when it's not our place of serenity, then we don't want to come home. And when we don't want to come home, we get out in those streets. You don't want us in the streets. So my advice to this brother is to really talk to his wife about where things are and get some professional help. Professional. And I mean where both of you go in and you have a session and she has a session and you have a session collectively. Because at this point, you need counseling too. Now, she's not the only one that needs counseling. You need counseling because you're beginning to become resentful towards her. And you got to let that go. Because it could build up and it could build up and that could change the person that you are because you're taking on some of that energy that she's giving you. So don't run from this responsibility. The marriage wasn't promised to be perfect. It wasn't promised to be peaceful every day. It wasn't promised to be, all smiles and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that she probably had a bad temper when you met her. And because she had a bad temper when you met her, you married her. Now you're married. So I recommend to you that you try to stick it out and work it out with her and seek some professional help. Because seeking that professional help, the two of you working it out, it could just make your relationship stronger for the long run. Now, fortunately, you hadn't done anything yet, but you are looking. Stop looking. Stop looking. Because the person that you're talking to, stop talking to her. Just stop talking to her. She knows what's going on because she can see it on your face. You didn't tell me this, but I'm sure you've said some things that you probably shouldn't have said to this woman. Stop. Stop while you are ahead. This woman probably isn't scheming or planning or anything like that. However, you know as well as I do, in the right type of environment, anything could happen. So just stop. Talk to your wife. Get professional counseling. Both of you individually, her individually, and as a couple. And try to work that out because we need more married couples in our communities. We really do. We need more relationships where people get together and stay together and work through the good and the bad and they make it happen. We need more of that. That starts to build our communities back up. One thing about us is somewhere along the way, we got it in our minds that it's perfectly okay for our women to be strong and independent. And that's just not going to cut it. Now, ladies, I'm gonna talk about this because I need you to understand. Ladies, you got to drop that strong and independent mentality. Now, what I mean by strong and independent, I don't mean strong out of necessity because you got to do it all because you're the only person in the house. I mean when you get in a relationship with a man that has shown you that he knows how to lead, you still don't want to step down. You still want to be in control. You have to be about partnership. If it's not about partnership, it's going to be very difficult making it work. Partnership simply means that we're working together. Now, ladies, sometimes working together means that you have to take a step down off of that real tough, strong, male masculine role that you've had to take on. And fellas, sometimes it means that you have to step back from being hard or misogynistic or condescending and all this stuff. It means that you have to find a middle ground where both of you can be happy in the relationship. It's not about the man having a woman that's submissive and a woman having a man that caters to her. It's about both of you functioning and making the relationship work. And when we have our relationships working, then we set a positive image for our kids, especially the young men. And the young men need it in droves. They need to see what a man looks like, what a man does in the household. The young women, they get to see strong women. They need to see more strong men in a relationship. A good friend of mine and his wife celebrated her 50th birthday. And they've been together since college, and they've made things work, and I'm sure they had some good days and bad days. But in celebrating, what you saw in that room were two children that were taken care of, two children that were emotionally stable, two children that were looking out for each other. We need more of that. When there was I saw a post not long ago where a young lady said that she refuses to sacrifice her happiness just to say she has a man. And there's a point to that. However, the relationship isn't about your happiness. The relationship is about both of your happiness. And if you're still focused on your own happiness, you're right. You're not ready for a relationship. So there's so much potential in our community. And we're all scared to get played or something. We're scared to get hurt, or we're scared to sacrifice or give up a little bit of something for the common good, for the betterment of each other, because we're so afraid that somebody's going to hurt our feelings. Now, my feelings have been hurt plenty of times. Things that I thought would go one way didn't go that way. Just is what it is. What you do, though, is you learn to let go of the bad parts, and you focus on the good parts. And when you focus on the good parts, what happens is it's easier to forgive someone. But if all you focus on is the bad part, you're going to be stuck not wanting to forgive that person. Now, look, I'm human. Sometimes forgiveness is something that I struggle with. However, it's not my defining trait. And I believe that I got better when I learned how to let go of the bad stuff and focus on the lessons and the good things that I got out of every relationship I've ever had. So, that's it. We just have to continue to talk to each other. We have to continue working on building each other up and not tearing each other down. One thing that I want to share on Facebook is some of these negative memes or some of these confrontational posts and stuff like that we constantly keep sharing. Sometimes enough is enough. Sometimes we have to let that stuff go and not promote it or pass it along. We can't constantly talk about each other and put each other down and expect positive growth. You can't speak negative or promote negative and be surprised when you get negative. You have to actually start speaking positivity out there. So there's a lot of stuff going on around us that as a community, we're not prepared to deal with because we're still too fragmented. The good thing, though, is we're getting closer. We're looking at each other now instead of turning away from each other. We're starting to talk to each other again instead of fussing again. We just have to make sure that we are in control of our own images. Somebody says something bad about us, we're up in arms. But we talk about each other. Now, we can do it in humor, don't get me wrong. Sometimes humor, there's a place for that. Nothing wrong with making fun of yourself. However, some of these things that are being passed around are really, really destructive. And we just have to stop sharing it. So, one of my friends, oh, wow, look at this. One of my role models just joined. Hey, Naomi, I'm going to get ready to talk about you. Her and her husband have been married almost 5 years now. And the thing I like about them is they are one of the most loving couples that you'll ever meet. They have beautiful children, beautiful family. And this is an instance where Naomi was able to recognize that she had a good man because he wasn't ashamed to show it. He wasn't ashamed to say, okay, your daughter is going to be my daughter. and we're going to have a child together, and we're going to be married, and we're going to stay married. And he's going to work hard to take care of her and provide and lead. And, she's going to be right there supporting, working hard. And both of them are making it work together. And the thing